Hello vlog! So this week I'm going to be talking about disproportionality again, but I'm going to be talking about how I saw it in my school with my school experiences, as well as looking at how it was, how it would just be in general for other schooling systems. So when I was in high school, as I said earlier this week, I had a 504 for my ADD, which meant that I got extra time on tests, and then I also had the ability to leave class if I needed to kind of just like walk around, get my brain like rerouted, and kind of make it to where it was easier for me to like jump back into a lesson. And with that 504, it was supposed to be a helpful thing. However, a lot of my teachers made it seem as though it was like a burden to them, and it was something that they had to deal with rather than something that like I had to deal with. And so I felt really uncomfortable a lot of times, like asking for my accommodations, even though they were like legally obligated to give it to me. So that was one thing that I saw the disproportionality in my schooling system, was kind of just how that affected me as a student with a disability. One of the other things that showed a disproportionality in my school was the difference between my school, which was called the Liberal Arts and Science Academy, which is a very long and annoying name and very unnecessary, and the other school that we were on the same campus with, which was LBJ High School. And so my school used to be a magnet school at LBJ. However, when they realized they weren't getting the same funding that they wanted to and the same recognition of being such an elite education, they separated. And so my school, LASA, is a nationally ranking school. It's either number 7 or number 28, depending on the source that you look at in the nation. And then LBJ is not even ranked, or it's like in the very, very low rankings. And so it's very interesting to kind of see these two schools on the same campus interact with each other, because they're so different in how they run, like with the administration, with the types of students that there are. At my school, it was 50% white, 20% Latino, 21% Asian, and 1% Black. Less than 10% of the students come from low-income homes. And in the school district as a whole, 30% of students are white, 55 are Latino, 4% are Asian, and 7% are Black. So you can really see that my school, which is supposed to be a school that takes students from all neighborhoods and, puts them into this really awesome education, is not showing like the same proportions as the entire district. And so that's very different from the school district, because it just doesn't really show the same proportions of race and economic status. And there actually have been a lot of articles done on my school and other schools in the district, and looking at how different. So my school started, after I went there, started using affirmative action to kind of bring in more diversity to the school. And the article that I was just talking about mentioned 3 students who said that they didn't feel as accepted in the community anymore, because students at LASA, who just have this elitist complex in some cases, would look down upon them and say, oh, they're just one of those affirmative action kids, or oh, they just got in because you're a Black student. And I think that kind of shows how my school really played into disproportionality. And although it was trying to change it by using affirmative action, the culture of the school wasn't changing. Therefore, it wasn't something that they could just immediately fix and say that everything was okay. Because even if they were adding more diversity to the school itself still had the same standards that it had always had, and students didn't feel like they were able to kind of be themselves and able to just learn the way that they wanted to. So one of the reasons that I want to talk about that this week was because that was such a huge part of my high school experience, and that was one of the reasons that I had such a hard time with my high school, because I felt like I was one of the only people who just really didn't feel like that was the right place for them because of the social and like cultural environment that I was surrounded in. And it was hard being in such a liberal school where everyone was super liberal and having them have this kind of belief that education is something that's a competition and it's something where you have to prove that you're better. And one thing that's always drawn me to special education is it's not about being the best at anything, it's about learning skills. And I think that's something that should be I think that's something that we should look higher upon, because there's no right type of schooling. There's no right way to be educated. And when schools just put an emphasis on academics rather than, who you are as a person, what kind of skills you want to learn going into, your adulthood, when you do that, you take away the awesome thing that is education that allows every student to get what they need out of it. And my school just really prioritized academics over everything, over mental health, over just every single aspect that I think goes into education. And so that was a really difficult place for me to be and feel like I was able to be successful, and also where I was able to be myself. And so I think that was one of the reasons that I wanted to talk about this, because I know that a lot of people had great schooling educations, and that's awesome. But there are still so many schools that don't prioritize the right kinds of things in education, and that's sad to see. But also that's why I want to go into education. So thanks for joining me on another vlog.